that when somebody goes from, making nothing for what they do, especially as a creative person, and they make that first bit of money. And then when they actually go from, let's say, $100 to $1,000, and then from 1,000, when 3,500 was handed to you, I think you rightfully said that you got this imposter syndrome. So you wanted to over deliver. Whereas the person that hired you for the skills that they already saw. So they didn't hire you for your potential, but they hired you for the work that you already did.
But I started early enough, both as from an age perspective, getting into it, and I didn't really know anyone else who was doing it. Really, a community that existed for this sort of thing. So I was also trying to learn on my own, right? You'd have to order a book from Amazon or Chapters and wait 3 weeks for it to show up, and then it was really hard to get feedback to know if you actually were good at what you were doing.
I would say that for all the people listening below who were born after the year 2000, we didn't have the internet or cell phones or resources or, UI, UX testing, websites. And, we didn't have the Creative Cloud. We didn't have, InVision. We didn't have any of these crazy tools that we have and resources that we have today.
Yeah. And that first computer that I got, it kicked all this off. My entire career off, where I am today, where I'm heading. I got that before there was even internet available for me. I could not buy it. First computer I ever got was a Commodore 64, tape deck and big monitor, but that's it. I could pound away on the keys, make this game, and that was the end of it. There was no internet. All of this was very formative. I finally got to the point where someone would pay me money to do this thing that in my eyes I'd been screwing around, wasting time instead of going to school. Very exciting, right?
Right.
But I agree.
Yeah.
I think your earlier point is some interesting merit. Others saw in me, I think, things that I could not see. And I think that a lot of people, that's the foundation of it, right? It's there's that gap between how you see yourself and how others.
And that's where you really begin to translate it into a career or, a profession.
And things related to imposter syndrome, they're kind of, in my eyes, they're related is just, you need to get to a point where you're super comfortable with being wrong, with acknowledging that you're going into this, whatever the work is that you're doing, it's not going to be perfect. It could very well be very wrong to begin with. And if your ego is wrapped up in needing to be right the first time or not being able to take that criticism well, and I think that builds that imposter syndrome. It gets it bigger and bigger, and that gets in the way of you doing good work.
That is, I think, such a brilliant insight. For the audience listening, and if you're like a business owner and you're trying to hire a creative person to help you with whatever that thing is, one quality that you want to look for is in a very senior creative is they will constantly ask you questions. Okay, but what does that mean? They will not pretend or come off as knowing everything. Because once you reach that senior level, you stop trying hard to prove yourself. And now you get to this point where you're like, okay, actually, wait, I actually don't have all the answers. And you begin asking more inquisitive and curious questions, nuanced qualities that you can look for when trying to find the right creative person to help you.